Wyoming Republican Congresswoman Harriett Hageman joins us now. She's a former trial attorney, current member of the Judiciary Committee. Congresswoman, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I want to start in Los Angeles and get your sense of the situation out there, what you're hearing as a member of Congress and your concerns as a member of the Judiciary Committee.
I think what we're seeing is outrageous. I'm finding it incredibly disconcerting that we have political leaders in California that are taking the side of the rioters rather than the side of the citizens. It is stunning to me that they think that this is the exercise of the First Amendment right to be torching cars and burning things to the ground and destroying property. That clearly is not the case. I can't believe that they don't have more regard for one of the historically great cities in this country, that they are going to allow this to happen. And as far as the sentiment here in Washington, D.C., we simply cannot allow these kinds of things to continue. We saw what happened in the summer of 2020, over $2 billion in damage, people murdered. We just can't allow this kind of rioting to get out of control the way that they're allowing it in California.
Do you agree with President Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard here? And what do you make of Gavin Newsom's suing the president over that decision?
I think Gavin Newsom, pretty much every decision he makes is the wrong one. I think that that's how you know what is the right decision to make, is to do the opposite of what he does. Again, it is stunning to me that he would take the side of the rioters rather than the side of law and order. I don't think that his lawsuit is going to go anywhere. And I think absolutely, if they're not going to protect the federal offices, then they're not going to allow our ICE agents to conduct the operations that they should be conducting. If they're not going to protect them, then we're going to have to call in the National Guard to do it. It really is surprising to me that we have people who are waving flags from a foreign country and burning ones here while they're claiming that they don't want to be deported to the country that they're waving the flags of, yet they claim to hate America. None of this makes sense, and it tells you that this is not an organic movement, that this is just part of the ongoing effort to undermine America.
Do you believe there's reason here to arrest Gavin Newsom, as President Trump has suggested he would do?
I'm not going to go that far. I don't think that that's what is necessary, but I think that it is incredibly important that we restore law and order, and I think that we saw more of that last night. We saw rioting, but I think that you're seeing it quelled much more quickly than we saw again over the weekend, as well as during 2020. We cannot allow the anarchists to control law and order in this country. We just can't.
You mentioned ICE agents need to have the ability to do their jobs. A topic that has come up during what's happened out in Los Angeles is the ability of sitting members of Congress to go into federal facilities, jails, to check on those who have been arrested. What actual authorities do members of Congress have on that front? What's your understanding about what you're allowed and not allowed to do?
We have the ability to make appointments so that we can go in and see what's going on, but I think that you're probably talking about Representative Waters. That was all for show. She knew it was all for show. She knew that she was going to be turned away. You don't just show up at on the front door of a facility like that, especially under the circumstances, and demand to be let in. She knew that she was going to be exactly what was going to happen, and they turned her away, and they should have. She wants to make an appointment to tour the facility. She's more than welcome to do so, just like any other sitting member is.
Do they have to grant your ability to tour a facility? What is the law that applies here for a member of Congress? What are the special privileges?
I don't know that it's special privileges. I don't know that we're talking about a specific law that says that members of Congress can go into any federal building. I don't think that that's the point. I think the point is it's a matter of courtesy, and it's a matter of actually accomplishing what you're attempting to do. I can go into federal buildings. I do it all the time. I was in the USDA yesterday, but I made an appointment to go and meet with people, which was the appropriate protocol to follow.
Congresswoman Harriett Hageman with us until the top of the hour at 9 a.m. Eastern, and she's taking your phone calls. It's 202-748-8001 for Republicans. Democrats, it's 202-748-8000. Independents, 202-748-8002. Congresswoman, as folks are calling in, I want to switch gears to the one big, beautiful bill. As has been the discussion for weeks now, the path of that legislation. How different do you think the bill will be once the Senate is done with it from the one that you voted on and supported when it passed the House last month?
I think that there will be some changes, some targeted changes, but I think for the most part it's going to remain intact. I think people need to understand that the President, the Speaker of the House, and John Thune in the Senate, they were all engaged throughout the entire process. The Senate didn't receive a bill out of the blue. We have been talking to our colleagues on the other side. We have been working with them. We have been addressing issues. That's why it took us a period of time for the House to be able to put this together. This is a very well thought out piece of legislation. There were negotiations that went on from the various players involved, including myself. I had issues that I wanted to make sure were addressed in this bill, and I've been working with my colleagues, my Senate colleagues on the other side to ensure that we get those provisions in the bill. So I think that there will be some changes. I think we expect some changes. I don't think you're going to see a wholesale rewrite by any sense of the imagination.
What are some of those changes specifically that you were working with your Senate colleagues to make sure are in this bill? And would it be a deal breaker if this bill came back from the Senate and they weren't there?
So the big issues that I was focusing on was obviously border security being on the Judiciary Committee. We want to make sure that we have sufficient funds to build the wall. What's happening in Los Angeles, I think makes this even more pressing that we get this bill passed right away and get it signed into law. We're providing additional resources for the Border Patrol. We're providing additional resources for more immigration judges, more beds, again, construction of the wall. The other area that was very important to me was unleashing America's energy and energy independence. So I was focusing on our ability to explore and do additional oil and gas exploration and production. The same with coal. We're reducing the royalties on coal to pre-pandemic levels. We're getting rid of a lot of the Green New Deal nonsense that was included in the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA. And we are moving forward with better energy policies. So those were some of the things that I focused on that are very important, not just to Wyoming, but to the United States as a whole.
Where are you on state and local tax deductions and how big they should be?
Well, obviously that's something that I wasn't very pleased about. But again, we're going to have to negotiate and work with our colleagues so that they also can get some of their priorities done as well. One of the things that I've learned about being in Congress is that we kind of get to where we have certain areas of expertise. And I hope that people and my colleagues will come to me when it comes to energy policy issues and regulatory policy issues. And sometimes I have to go to them on the issues that are important to them. I'm not as much of an expert on healthcare, for example. As far as the state and local taxes, you know, I think that what it represents is that some of our bigger states, some of our blue states, are definitely run by your tax and spend Democrats. I don't like the idea of being able to deduct the state and local taxes, especially at the high level that we're talking about. But at the same time, I'm going to have to be able to work with my colleagues so that they can get some of their priorities done as well. It does not take away from the fact that this is an incredible piece of legislation and we need to get it passed.
You're talking about those big states run by Democrats. I'm assuming you're talking about New York and California, but it's Republicans in those states that are threatening to walk on this bill if the SALT deductions aren't included to a certain level. What's your conversation been like with those individuals, and do you feel like they've been too unwilling to negotiate on this issue?
No, I'm not going to be critical of any of my colleagues in that regard. What I would say is that they're representing their constituents. They're doing what they think is in the best interest of their constituents. And also, many of us believe that we're overtaxed. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that you would have Republicans who would be advocating for reducing taxes. The difference here is, and the battle that we have is, should that be borne by all of us federally, or should that be borne by these states that are the high tax states? Illinois, New York, California, Connecticut. Those are your high tax states, those are your blue states. And so again, that's the debate that we're having, and the many benefits of this bill outweigh the things that I disagree with, and that's why I supported it.